was the best chick you ever had, Bishop?
Well, I have to say, as first starting in the game, the best female that I had, was Annie. Most people know as Annie Root. From Chicago, and we really met at a club, the stepping and different things like that. You used to go there. I used to come there, and I used to always say things to her, but it didn't seem to make sense to her at the time, because she was just brushing me off, And then I got drafted into the Army, and I left the scene for a few months, and then I came back in my Army, got back on the nightlife scene, and then ran up into her again, and I think that was something like 71, and that's what it was.
Okay. So from back in the day, from the way the game you remember it to the day right now, what you think about these new players?
Well, one thing that I must say, and has always been spoken, that the game is the same, but the name change. Okay, with the name change, you got other guys trying to change the game. The game is set, and you know what I mean? Pimping players, hustlers, all of that's been known to be as good as they flash. It was always about the flash. You got the new generation, they got their style, but that don't make it the pimp style. Pimping got a certain criteria of how they dress it. And ain't no young player can come into the game to change the style of the game. I mean, that could be his style, but then when they come to the final analysis about how one should look, they gonna say suited and booted always beat them gym shoes and jogging suits. I know they got them jogging suits that cost $1,000. They had them gym shoes that cost $1,000, but then that ain't the game of what's been played for a number of years. Dating all the way back from, to Iceberg Slim. It was always known as a criteria for a pimp. Flashy car, flashy suit, flashy jewelry, good woman, and a bankroll to flash. That is that criteria. I know these other young players, they jump in the jogging suit or the designer suit, but then they follow the trend of what the people, sports players and different things, like I said, a player, he stands alone. It's in a category all by himself, none like the rest.
I got a question for you that a lot of players be wondering. So, they be wondering why they gotta pay.
Well, the thing about it is, it's always been known that the game is to be sold and not told. You know what I mean? And the thing that I understand about the game, every true player paid his dues in order to be educated to the next level. I paid, others paid. It's what the game is. And the reason I say that a player should pay is because one thing about it, if I give you some game and you haven't paid for it, and that game consists of you telling your woman that she got to get out this house because she didn't do right, you might not tell her because it didn't cost you a dime, and you may not have that kind of heart. But if you spend some money and pay your dues, you're going to say, I better try this because I spent money, I paid money. So that's why it's good to pay for your game, especially when you're getting it from somebody like the Archbishop Magic Juan. You can't lose with the stuff I use. It's been a proven fact for over 50 years. Not just sitting up here trying to sugarcoat this game, because you can't sugarcoat it, and every player out there that try to sugarcoat it is not going to work. I've seen a lot of players, you can fake your way to the top, but you ain't going to stay there because they take a certain criteria in order to stay there. A lot of these guys watch them too real for TV, DVDs, and they rehearse them and got every word every player said in it. But then when you run out of that, you ain't got nothing else to tell the chick. Now you stuck. Your gang is over. And that's what I'm telling you. This got to be in you, not just on you. And it's in me.
I was watching some of that footage from back in the day when Cadillac and God and everybody was out there with you. Who were some of the players that you really missed from back in the day?
Well, one thing about it is there's nobody like the Pimp God. King Burrell, he had many names, but man, he was the Godfather. He was everything that every one of his names he was called the president. Man, look, I was a little boy when he was called King Burrell, and he used to have a pink and purple Cadillac. He had a pink and purple Corvette with gangster white walls on it, and I used to see him going down the streets as a little boy, and I used to run behind the car. You know, and it was a fascinating thing. So one day, as I entered the player gang, I was riding with a friend of mine called Blue, and he became my brother-in-law. You know, he married my sister Alma. And we was riding one day, and we seen King Burrell riding through the hood. This on the west side of Chicago now. It was down by Pulaski and West End. And I seen him turn, and I told Blue, I said, man, let's catch up with him and talk. He said, no, man, I don't want to catch up with him. He ain't going to talk to you, man. He ain't going to say nothing to you, man. I said, no, man, let's catch up. We drove up there. When he parked, I jumped out the car and ran up there to him. The dude said, he ain't going to say nothing. Man, when I ran up to him, he said, what's happening, real young player? Slapped my hand. And so what I do, I said, hey, what's happening, King? Just wanted to say hello to you, man. Run back to the car and told my friend, I said, hey, man, he shook my hand and said, what's happening, player? And man, and that was my motivation to the game. You know, like I tell people, I sit on the porch. I didn't see no doctor, lawyer, the thing coming out the house going to work. I'm looking at pimps, dope dealers, guys coming out the house with 3-4 women, diamonds on, real slick suits. I said, that's how I want to be. And that was my motto, man. And I wanted to be the best. I didn't just want to be a pimp. I wanted to be number one. And when I grabbed the hold of that game, man, it was just like a sponge. I held on it for 13 years in a row until God told me to let go.
So how old was you when you was running up behind the car, the Pimp God?
Yeah, at the time, man, I have to be, I say, in my teens. You know what I mean? And man, it was just an amazing thing, man. He was one of the biggest things that ever happened to the West Side. I mean, in the gang of history, man, they can't miss his name. He up there, and he's declared, you know, Iceberg Slim and things like that. The Pimp God was definitely a blessing, and I tell every player and young player, if you didn't get a chance to meet the Pimp God, it's amazing. You really missed something for those that truly in the game. But I tell them, you don't have to worry about it like I told a young player. You can get a chance to hear some of him and see some of him through me, because he definitely had some game, man. And the thing I like about it is that make me so secure about my game that he told me himself. He said, you're the best pimp I've ever known. And if the Pimp God put a stamp on a player like that, hey, hallelujah, hallelujah. It's the real dude. It's pimp, hooray.
What would you tell some of these young players that want to have longevity like you, what they have to do?
Well, the thing I tell a young player about won't having longevity in the game is, it's all about being for real. You can't shortcut it. You can't do this. You can't go there. It ain't going to work like that. It might work for 6 months or maybe even a year. You might even get you 2 years out of it, but it ain't going to solidify your game, because it's like anything else. You got to go through the trenches, man. You got to go through it. You got to be tested, man, in order for you to be able to come up and believe in yourself. My experience in the game, I'll tell you one of the stories that sort of solidified me in the pimp game, that I really felt that this was my calling. I was out of town. We was on the road, you know, and I think we was in Pittsburgh, you know, and we was working, you did. My woman went out, man, and she worked, Jack, and, you know, I'm at the hotel, I'm waiting, man, you dig. I know the lick supposed to be an in and out and come on home. But, you know, I'm new to the game, you dig. You know, she didn't scoop me up and took me on the road, which was a fascination. But I was ready to be all in for the pimp game, you dig, because I felt it was my calling. So I'm at the room waiting, you know what I mean? And then some hours later, you know, something like 5-6 hours later, hey, she come home, she come to the hotel room, you know what I mean? And then, wow, man, it was just an amazing thing, man. She had handcuffs on. It scared me to death, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't understand it. But then it was this thing about when I used to watch TV and I used to see him on that, you know what I mean, use that bobby pin, you know what I mean? I didn't really think that would, because I thought that was really some Hollywood stuff. But man, I took a big bobby pin and it amazing. The first click, bam, the cup popped off. It was an amazing thing, and I did think it was a miracle, you know what I mean? Because my heart was racing, Jack. I was nervous, I was scared, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know if she was being trailed, and it was one of my first time on the highway. I didn't know nothing about this like that. I was being, you know what I mean, introduced to a life that I was going to live for the next 50 years. But I didn't know that. And man, that solidified to me that was my calling to be in the game, man. When I popped them handcuffs, and after that, it wasn't no looking back, Jack. I was showing up. Hey, I was what they said. I mean, man, I was secured in the game. I believed in myself. I knew I could win. I said what I meant, and I meant what I said, and I stuck through that throughout my game. I never did compromise it. I never did take a shortcut on it. I mean, it had to be my way or no way. I mean, it's a new wave today because, you know, a lot of women want to be led, but they ain't got nobody to lead them because a lot of these guys don't understand what it takes to lead, what it takes to, you know what I mean, to build your woman up, to make your woman secure that she would be there for you. Rain, sleet, or snow, man. I mean, I had a female where she was standing on the corner because at the time, I didn't allow my woman to date blacks. And so the black pull up on the stroll. This happened down on Hospital and Lake on the west side of Chicago. And she was out one evening working because in that district it's called the market because they got a lot of food trucks, fish truck, everything be coming in there. So one afternoon they was up there working, and then a date pulled up there and offered, you know, to give her some money, but he was a black guy. And like I said, I didn't allow him to date black. But one thing about it is, you have problems with blacks, you know what I mean? They're just so overworked and underpaid, and it always seemed to be something going on. And then, you know, I never wanted to think that it might have been her boyfriend. So to avoid any kind of that mishap, I just said, we don't date black. So the guy didn't appreciate her saying that she didn't want to date him. And so what he did is he took out a gun and shot her 5 times. He shot her twice in the head, and the rest of the bullets was body shots. I guess the ambulance came and took her to the hospital, which at that time was called the county hospital on the west side of Chicago. They changed it to Rozier now, but it was the county at the time. And I wasn't there. Her mother was there with her. I got a call. Said, hey man, this is taking place. A woman was shot down, you know. She's at the hospital at emergency. You need to get there quick. So my sister Ann, which is the one that co-wrote my life story book From Pimp Stick to Pulpit Magic, and we went to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, she was all laid up in tubes and everything. And first thing she said when she seen me, she said, Daddy, I can't wait to get up out this bed and go get you your money. Now here she is laying in with tubes and bullets everywhere because they couldn't take them out. And her mother looked at me and she said, what have you done to my daughter? I said, ma'am, it's nothing personal, but it's dedication. She was dedicated to the game. The same female, you know what I mean, had been on the stroll working and thing, got shot, come on, in the leg shot, come on, tied up, go back to work, change wig. I'm talking about dedicated to the game, to which you don't have that today. As known dedication, you don't even have loyalty, honest from these females today, man, you know what I mean? Because the gang has got so weak and the guys is so watered down that females are trying to be with females instead of men. And that ain't the way it should be, you know what I mean? So I think men's got to take charge and put their pants back on and take them skirts off so they can be men. They don't have to be pimps. They don't have to be players. They just have to be men, what they were born to be, to lead and to take charge and to build these women up and to take care of their kids and to do the right thing by one another. This is what we must do as individuals. It's no more I, it's we. As unity is strength. And like they said, teamwork makes the dream work. That ain't no drag. That's the real deal. If you put in, you can get something out. Listen, this is how the game go, and I just want to give it to you so you can understand it, just so a baby can understand it. Listen, it's just like going to the bank. You can't go to the bank and draw nothing out if you ain't put nothing in. It's the same way with the game. Ain't no returns if you don't put nothing in. You got to dedicate yourself to the game, bring it to the table, put it on the table. Put it in the player's pocket, sock it to his pocket. You got to stand up and be wise and want to do this thing. Especially if you with a boss that's trying to make you a queen to a king. You got to be considerate with him. You got to work with him. Teamwork, it makes the dream work. But some of y'all don't want to put in no work. You just can't come to the table and eat up everything on the table without putting something there or without intentions on bringing something to the table. It's not fair. You got to play the game fair in order for the game to be fair to you. And I do know this as speaking. A lot of people try to take shortcuts and do a lot of things. I'm dedicated to the game, and that's why I've been playing the game. You know, I don't see no room for nothing else. Not in my life, you know what I mean? Because one thing I know, it don't matter whether you're pimp, preacher, player, hustler, dope dealer, or what. I'm telling you, character to us all makes a difference. Your character, my character. It ain't about your money. Because I seen a lot of money men standing in the back of the line at the club. You got to have some juice, Jack. Somebody got to know that you down in this game. Why you think that most rappers, entertainers, street guys, street creed come down Archbishop Juan to get street credentials, man, to get certified by the chairman of the board, man, the newly crowned Pimp God. Why? Because I'm going to tell it like it is. Not to just hurt your feelings, but I'm going to tell you so it'll help your feelings. I'm going to give you the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you like it is. And it's up to you to accept it and reject it. It ain't on me. It's on you. That depends if you want to elevate your game to the next level. Then you got to do the thing that it takes to get to that level. Most people want some things they never had before. That means you got to do some things you never did before in order to require that. It ain't going to just drop into your lap. You got to make sacrifices. And when you make sacrifices, it makes you appreciate things that you receive through the struggle. The struggle is real, and there's no question about that. Nobody born around here with no silver spoon in their mouth. The thing that I got, I had to match for it, Jack. Wasn't given to me on no silver platter or nothing like that. Wasn't born with nobody that had millions of dollars, but I was born with a mother and father that had love, and that was part of the thing that helped me to grow today. Love, and they all not showing love. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, the family that broke up. There's a lot of things going that you need to do in order to make your life right. You know what I mean? Don't just put it on the pension. You did PIMP, player into making paper is progress, man. You did. A lot of people used to assault it, but I want to tell you one thing. Hollywood, rappers, R&B, everybody know you got to have them females. You dig? In your videos, in your movies. Sex still sells. And it don't matter how you sell it. You still peddling it. You dig? So, don't fault me. I didn't start the game. I'm a victim of circumstances just like you. What was your circumstances? They say, Bishop Juan, my circumstance was like anybody else. I want to eat. I want to look nice. I want to do things that I've seen people on TV do. Travel the country, fly in private jets, pop champagne bottles, kicking with models. You did? I mean, you hear me? But then I wanted to do it in a way without feeling like I was hurting anybody, because I want to tell you, my game was elevation to where I was teaching them girls. I wasn't wrecking their life. I was teaching them. I was taking them to the next level. I was doing things for them that their mother and their father hadn't did. Because once they became into my life, I become their mother, their father, their sister, their brother, their everything. And by me becoming that, I was taking care of everything that needed to take care, and all they had to do was get the money. And I could do the rest. So you got to understand that this gang ain't for no lame. And a lot of have tried to play it. And you can see those that weather the storm, those that compromise in their game. They want to say they pimps and they players and they hustlers, they this and they strong. But a lot of y'all tricks, man. But then ain't nothing wrong with it, because you got the money. You can do what you want to do. And that's what it's all about. Don't feel bad, you know what I mean? Because if you got money, everybody can't pimp. And a lot of y'all can't even ask women for money. So then you got to do something. So then if you ain't asking for it, you giving. Now you figure that out.
What if a guy want to clean up his act and stop tricking and be a player? Can he be that?
Well, anything is possible, man. You know, if a guy want to change, you know what I mean? That's what life is all about. Change. Those that don't change, that stay stuck. I mean, it's different category. You know, once God is a trick, he might get wise enough to turn the gang around and start macking on the chick. A lot of pimps use that gang in order to catch chick. Acted like a trick and turn out to be a Mac man. So it's a lot of gang play. That's what the gang is all about. But like I said, if a guy want to spend some money with a chick and enjoy himself, so it be. Don't have to feel bad about it as long as he stand up and be the man about it. You know, that's all. You know what I mean? So it's just that those that try to be undercover players, you know what I mean? If you see something you like, it's your prerogative if you can pay for it, to get that. And if it means buying a female that you couldn't possibly have a chance with, it lets you do that, and that gives you that opportunity, and that's what you prefer, and pay and make it happen. And don't be all sad about it or, you know what I mean, feeling trickery. You did? Just enjoy the moment. And that's what it's all about, because you paying for the moment.
In this day and time with these new laws they got, it's kind of hard for a player to really elevate his game to, you know, to the level of, you know, what y'all was able to do back in the day.
Oh no, man. Pimping ain't changing no laws, man. Laws been laws from the beginning of time. And I'll tell you an example about that. I had a chick working up on the north side of Chicago, and the police told me that if I gave him some money, that he wouldn't bust her. But I said to him, if I paid you, what about the rest of the shift? Who gonna cover that? So I told him, no, I ain't gonna pay. But I put it on the female. It was her job to stay out his way. So what I'm saying is law's gonna be law, you know? And the thing about it is a real serious pimp, man, don't break no law. We might bend it a little bit, but it breaking ain't in our category, man. Pimp don't break no law. I mean, these days they talking about 50 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years and all them things for some pimping. I promise you, ain't none of that been pimping, man. I ain't know no pimp that go down for no 25 years, man. I'm trying to tell you the truth, man. You might say that you was on there, but if the court found you guilty for a minor or some other faulty crime, then that's what it is, man. It wasn't about no pimping, man. You did, you know what I mean? But, you know, like I say, you can put it on pimping, man, but I know pimping. And I know pimping when I see pimping. Because I know about pimping. I controlled pimping for a number of years. And I'm talking about when pimping was pimping. You dig? Since you was simping. I'm talking about some of the big guys that I used to bow down to that really was getting it out the mud, man. You dig? You just thinking because you charging that chick little credit card and you got her working at that job and all that, man. You dig? Hey, man, you getting you some money, man, but don't put pimping in it, man. You did, because PIMP is on the CRNER, the corner, man. I'm telling you, you did. So, you know, just keep it real and get you some money, and don't try to be in a lane that you don't deserve to be in. A lot of that is going on, and it's causing a lot of you guys and some of these girls to really fall by the wayside because you ain't ready for what you see. You ain't dedicated to it. You ain't got enough muscles. I'm telling you, stay in your fear. It look good. You see the glamour, and they told you before all that glitter ain't gold. You did. You can be, you know, faked out by a lot of these niggas with some of that gold plated. You know what I mean? And then you get your life messed up. And I tell women, you got to make better choices. You got to get with somebody that's really trying to do something. Don't tell me you with a nigga and he didn't do this and you didn't get no understanding, investigate how it going, and you just stepped up and gave him your money. Now you mad like that. Know what you getting into. You know when you stepped up and gave your money, now you mad because things ain't work. That's your problem. Don't be mad at him and don't put no poor ladies at him and don't even try to talk this gang. Chalk it up to the gang and move on and make your game better. Go somewhere and plant a seed and show that you wanted to do right. Now you on top of your game. You can become a queen to to a king. But all that mess y'all talking about y'all own money and doing this and don't want to help out and share and all that and think you a man. And I told every woman that think like a man always end up without one. So if that's how you gonna be and you wind up with a lady, then that's your problem. Then you ain't get no real understanding. You can fake it, but I told you, you ain't gonna make it and it ain't gonna last. You gonna have to do what's right. Ain't nobody ever been able to get away with other than doing what's right. I don't care what they do or what they go through. You can try a lot of different avenues. Just like I said, the blind lead the blind. Y'all gonna fall in the biggest ditch in the world. I'm telling you. But dig this, I got some coming. I'm trying to refill my drink. We're going to pause for the calls and we're going to be back with some more. Because our bitch is Magic Juan. He got 50 years in the gang and you think I can tell you in 5 minutes? Man, go get you some snacks. Go find you a joint. I'm on some church cannabis. Get you some champagne. Holler at my friend right here. And I'll be right back to talk some more Mac talk. You did? Because you got to have vision.